As you can see, the boys are back in business.
Back at it again.
Season 3.
Come on.
Najolo Mr. Madi.
Come on.
I'm your co-host, Ivan, DJ Anzo, whatever you want to call me. I'm here with the man himself.
General Anzo, also known as General Anzo.
I'm here with the man himself.
Yes, sir.
Young money millionaire.
Oh, come on. Don't flatter me.
Come on now.
This is Ibrahima here, Uncle E.
Nah, allow it, bro.
All kinds of variations of E.
That's the young money millionaire himself.
Don't mind Ivan. The young money millionaire one. That's yours. We leave that one for you.
Anyway, guys, we're back. As you
Good
can
to
see,
be back, man. Come on.
We have upgraded our space.
On.
We're on YouTube.
Boys are on YouTube finally. After popular demand of telling us you guys should be on YouTube. You guys should be on YouTube. So I'm glad we finally made it.
If you don't like, subscribe, share.
Come on.
We will find you.
We will find you. We will find you.
But nah, man, it's good to
this
be
is
back.
the logo. This is the logo for me. It's the logo for me.
Peeped, you can see it. You know what I'm saying? The boys are really doing
Come on.
Like that.
Come on. But we're good to be back. It's I think it's been almost 4 months since we concluded. So welcome if I'm just happy to be back. It's good.
I'm happy to be back now in front of the camera, so you guys can actually see
they can see the nonsense that goes on behind the recording now.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Thank you guys for staying with us.
Of course,
throughout this recess that we've been in, and I'm just happy to be back. How was your holidays, bro? Tell them.
Holidays?
Yeah.
I mean, the COVID holiday. Mans went to Dubai and that. With the fam, so it was a family reunion, but it was a good holiday.
Yeah.
How about you?
I was in Washington.
You were in Washington?
I was in Washington.
In what?
Dealing with this coldness.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't relate.
This misery, like a lot of different people. But no, it was good, man. I had a lot of family time.
Yeah.
Got to go spend time with my parents.
Yeah, that's always good,
My family, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And it was good, man. But, that we have some questions for you guys.
What are these questions, bro?
We have some questions.
Okay.
Do you happen to say, my parents are from Africa, but I'm from... Does that question apply to you?
Oh, man. What's another one? Do you just allow, your name to just be butchered recklessly, just mispronounced because it's an African name?
Are you tired of explaining that Africa is a country?
Oh, you're from Gambia? Yeah, 3 years ago, I was in Uganda. I was working at a mission, or I was doing donation there.
Guys, if any of these questions apply to you, then this is the podcast.
This is the podcast for you. This is the podcast for you. You made it to the survival guide, as we call it these days.
This is
the life of the... that we have to go through with our names, the just generalization of Africa. I've actually gotten that once before, actually many times. Or you're from Gambia, or where's that? West Africa, and just proceeds to say someplace in East or South Africa about them going there. I have a friend
from Ethiopia.
Oh yeah, my brother lives. This happened to me, I think, 2 years ago. Conversation. Where are you from? Oh yeah, I'm from Gambia, West Africa. Oh, that's really nice. So yeah, my older brother, he actually lives in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay. That's very nice.
That's like me saying to an American, like, oh, you're from Florida? Yeah. Oh no, I have a friend that lives in North Dakota.
Yep. They're like, huh? All right, that's cool. Cool story. Yeah.
It's not my concern.
They think this is what we have to go through. So, there has to be a point now where it's our responsibility for education. Yeah, we usually just feel like, here we go. They never understand. But that's why we have to talk about these things and understand when we're in those situations, what's the right thing to do. Yeah.
And also, please.
Or right thing to say.
Stop saying my parents are from Africa.
That is embarrassing, bro. That is one of the most embarrassing things. Don't do that. Like, I'm embarrassed for people who say that. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, my parents are from Africa. I'm like, so what are you? Oh, I'm not from here. I was born and grew up here. I'm like, so what are you?
Anyway,
it's a lack of education for me.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's
because
what it is, man.
We get that a lot. Like, to be honest, I've had a cousin. I remember I was in Six Flags with my cousin, born here, grew up here, and there was a Nigerian man. Actually, he was working there. He saw us. Once you see Africans, you already know. There's something about just Africans that we can just easily identify. It's me and my cousins who were just chilling. We probably were tired from getting on the roller coasters. And then this man, he was actually like cleaning, and he saw us, and he probably was like, "Oh, my people." Mm-hmm. So it's like, "Oh, my people, how are you?" He's like, "Oh, good day, sir." And then he was like, "Oh, where you from?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm from Gambia." Oh, and then he looked at my cousin. "Where you from?" My cousin's like, "Oh, I'm from Atlanta." Oh, this guy's like, "You are not from Atlanta. You are not from Atlanta. You are from Africa. You have to claim your." So at that time, my cousin looked at her like, this guy. But yeah, we were laughing. But I understand, like, it's actually like, it's something that we need to talk about more and educate even the first generation Africans that are here, that it's important to claim your identity. It is important to understand your heritage and not think that just because you grew up in America and even if you never went back to Africa, but your parents come from Africa, you are African. Yeah. The name they give you is usually African.
I think we need to dissect the scope of where we're approaching that from. Yeah. Right? So for context, our very first episode.
The first episode, season 1. Yeah.
Episode 1.
Where are you really, really from? That's when we talked about.
And that's where we're trying to dissect our heritage, right? Yeah. So past a nationality, past a continental, what's the word for that? Continental identity, right?
Yes.
I'm from America. Yes. I'm from Australia. I'm from Europe. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're trying to dissect that further, right?
Yes.
So that was even the premise of this podcast's name, right? Is Ibrahima is the Jola, right?
Yes.
That's his tribe.
That's my tribe.
People. I'm Mahdi. That's my people, right? So that's the lens that we're speaking from, right? Yeah. We're trying to dissect, okay, one, which is a discussion for another day, the boundaries and the borders that we have in Africa were not even meant to be, right?
They were never meant to be. Those are colonial boundaries.
Colonial boundaries. You have no genetic difference from a Senegalese person.
Pretty much.
Much as I don't have any except a few from like South Sudanese, right?
Correct.
So me being Ugandan itself is not even truly my true identity. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that is very true. And what we talked about was as well, we get it. And I'm going to speak from West African perspective here, and specifically me being from Gambia, is I'm claiming that I am a Jola because that is my dad's tribe. That's what we talked about in season 1, episode 1 is if you grow up in that society, they ask you, what are you? Imagine that. What are you? It's not even a character. It's not even content. It's what is your tribe? What's your ethnic group? And in society, we'll say, I'm Jola. What does that really mean?
Yeah.
That means that this is what my dad's identified tribe or ethnic group is. Mm-hmm. That's what it means, which, of course, it goes back with understanding your lineage and stuff. But I'm just saying, for me, as the millennial that we are, it doesn't really mean much. Right. It might mean much to some people, but for me, it doesn't mean much. It does not define my character saying, oh, yeah, I'm Jola. And that is only my dad's tribe.
Right.
What about my mom?
That's another thing, is there's also the aspect that we're looking at it through the patriarch.
Yeah.
Right? Is that's your identity.
Yeah. So if for those you're wondering, that was the whole core or premise of our podcast, and that was our first episode when we dove through that. And now, given that was in June of 2019.
2019, yep.
Since we had that discussion.
Yeah. A lot has changed.
A lot has changed because we challenged ourselves that, hey, we don't really know much about our ethnic group.
Right.
Or our heritage like that. We is something that our parents, they just tell us we're this, we're that. This might be some language. I don't even speak the language of my dad's tribe or anything, but yet still it seems to be very important in this part of our identity. So we challenged ourselves that as the millennials we are, and we're not living in Africa, we're abroad, we're here, and So away from that society, how do you actually, one, does it matter for you to actually try and identify your heritage, which we said, yes, it's important because you know where the core values come from. And it allows you to understand your parents too more, how you were raised. And we just took the challenge that we're going to know more.
Yeah. So what, I can speak on mine after, but
yep.
Why don't you tell us what have you learned about your heritage, one, since that first episode?
What have I learned about my heritage?
Yeah. And what sort of steps or methods did you take to learn about that heritage and just about your identity a little bit more?
Yeah. So in the first episode, I remember embarrassingly, I could not even describe like my grandfather, what he did. I think I said he was a warrior or something.
Yeah.
And I remember when my brother texted me, I was just laughing about that part, which is hilarious to me. But I was like, wow. I look back, I'm like, I didn't even know my grandfather, to be honest, his story. Because why? Because one, either my parents never talked to me about it, or if they did, I was too young, like I said, football, and it was not a priority to me to try and understand my heritage or even like my family history. So things that I have done or changed is, and by learning, of course, I have older siblings, so picking their brain a bit more, understanding our family history, understanding our parents' lives before we were born. And what I've learned so far is it's always complex. It's complex because the mom's story and the dad's story is always very different. Different families, different upbringings, different family values, different situations that they grew up in. So I understand like this is our parents, African parents, how that union comes from, it really is two different like elements, two different forces that, that's how I look at it, that comes into unison. So it's very complex. It's an ongoing journey for me to try and understand and learn, but I understand that we have core values. They're core values that, for me, they were instilled in us by our parents. And here, I'll share a quick story and approaches I've done, because I know you had mentioned 23andMe. You have mentioned, can we do a family tree? Can you go and ask your parents, hey, now especially with all they died, I want to do a family tree. I thought of doing that. To be honest, I haven't really had the time, but I've got a better perspective on it. But what I did recently was I sent my dad a message and I just asked him basically, hey, who was your dad? So my dad's name is Mankamang.
This is, you didn't know anything about him, right?
I mean, I knew about him here and there, but especially from the lens from my dad's directly telling me, I literally sent a message. WhatsApp, of course, y'all know WhatsApp. That's the medium.
Yeah.
So I sent my dad a message. I was like, my dad's name, his dad's name, my grandfather, was Mankamang.
Okay.
So I sent him a message. I know he probably woke up, saw a WhatsApp message like, what's this guy up to?
Yeah.
So I sent him, I was like, hi, Papa, who was your father, Mankamang? ? Can you send me a brief summary of that?
Okay.
So that's one method I said. I'm like, okay. Let's just ask our parents if they can send us a quick, not a book, not an essay. If you call them, it will take forever. You'll never get a quick, So I was like, let me just send him this message and ask him if he can send me a quick summary. I told him, please send me a summary of who your dad was.
Okay.
Who was Mankama? So I'll share what he says. I'll summarize it because I don't want to spend too much time on it. So one thing he told me, and he replied, which was very efficiently, actually. He didn't go on asking me, why are you asking this? He just straight up replied. So he said, Mankamang means Jambar. Jambar in Wolof means fearless. So he said, Jambar, fearless fighter, hardworking, able-bodied person in the Jola tribe. Mankamang was from Kankuntu Baji Kunda in a city or small town called Biam. He was recruited as a lieutenant in the kingdom of the king of Fuladu, Musa Molo. So Musa Molo was the king of the Fuladu Empire, I think in the 19th century, I'm guessing. Yes, I think so. So he was recruited as a lieutenant. He said lieutenant or lieutenant. Yeah. I don't know what that means.
It's lieutenant, but all African dads
say it lieutenant.
I don't know why, but they say lieutenant.
And he shared also about my grandfather. He's like, He was also a great farmer and owned vast lands of groundnuts, rice, from Fuladu East to Upper Fuladu West. So now I'm getting geographical regions of where my grandfather used to own those lands so I can go spend my own research. He's farmed, named after Mankamang Kunda. So Kunda means compound house, home of this. Mankamang Kunda means Mankamang. So Gambia, they do that. So if anybody watch Roots, you go to Alex Haley, he goes to Kunta Kinte, there's still, Kunta Kinte, Kinte Kunda. So that's what it means. And he also shared his farm is actually named, what they named his farm, that's actually where the current president of Gambia is from.
The current one?
Yes, okay. President Barrow. He's actually, that's like the actual president of Gambia right now, he grew up, or he's from my grandfather's Kunda compound.
But it's not like you guys are related, right?
Nah, of course not. And I was very interesting. I saw this, I asked him, I'm like, wow, this is the first time, I've actually been too curious to ask my dad, hey, who was your dad?
Yeah.
A summary. And I didn't know any of this. My siblings have told me, yes, your grandfather, he owned lands, he was a warrior. He was a great warrior to the king of 19th century Fuladu Empire, which is Fuladu right now. You can say that's like Guinea. Geographically, that's probably around Guinea.
Like, that's where he was.
Fuladu means the Fula tribes.
Yeah.
Kingdom was one of the Fula tribe, the king, powerful king. I think in the 19th century, his name was Mansa Musa. So we're looking at that geographical region just by asking my dad, hey, who was your grandfather? And look at me, season 1, episode 1, I'm like, yeah, I told my dad's grandfather was like a warrior or something. And I just, asked him a quick summary, and I learned this about my grandfather. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I didn't, so I'm actually a warrior, The
resources he was using was your father, right? So,
but that simply asking my question, who was your dad?
And how has that changed, like, your identity as a whole? How do you think that now you knowing that much more about your heritage has changed your overall just perspective on who you are?
It doesn't change. It reassures. It makes you more proud. It says, hey, I'll never. So, and that's where the pride comes from. And you can tie that down to where you say my parents are from Africa. Imagine saying that and you find out, like, for me, like, my grandfather was an actual, like, he's a warrior. Like, he was actually like a main piece of a whole kingdom in the 19th century. And he went and had his own town and named after him. You think I would be telling you my parents are African knowing that now? Yeah. You think I'll let you mispronounce my name knowing that now? Like, my heritage, where I'm actually from, like who my grandfather was? You think I'll let people just try and generalize my heritage or my Africanness? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important. So that's why it reassures me for.
And you claim that more, right? You walk different now.
I'm prouder now.
You see what
of course. Saying? I'm like, come on, man's this a warrior blood and that. Come on.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's great. I mean,
so that's what I learned. So hence my technique is just ask our parents. Switch. It's very easy to send them a text. Okay, some parents might say, what's going on? But just tell him. I didn't explain anything. I just sent him, hey, Dad, can you just send me a brief summary of this following question? And I asked him, who was your father?
And I think that our parents also are in a place where a lot of them, at the age that they're at right now, right? A lot of them think way more intrinsically than we do. And so you asking him a question like that shows him that you're now beginning to think in the way that they thought you would. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're more of a man in their eyes almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so
it was a cool moment for me. And like I said, you remember I was excited to say, yo, look, you can hear what I heard from my dad.
Yeah.
But how about you? From what we've learned about heritage, what steps have you done since our discussion on, and is it important to you? And what methods would you share for identifying or understanding your heritage more?
Honestly, mine, and I think I went over it briefly in like a previous episode, but mine was, I went back home last year. So actually the end of 2019 to 2020, like that gap, right? So December, January was when I was back home. And that trip, like we always talk about spiritual cleansing, right? And the need to go back home.
Yep.
This trip was by far the most enlightening and like rewarding trip I've had, right? So I had never been to my village, my dad's village.
Never been to your dad's village.
I had never been there. So when I was in Uganda, right, we were born in the capital. We went to school there, and like in a more cosmopolitan space, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that didn't really apply because one, the North was at war, right? So even going there is like you're risking your life to go through certain parts, right? So my parents never wanted to put us through that. So they never took us. And then as a kid, obviously, we moved here. Now, when I went back home, it was the first time I had ever been to the village where my ancestors were, right? And
on your father's side?
On my dad's side, yeah. Now, I'll tell a brief story about an engine, but before that, recognize this journey is 9 hours, right? So you drive from the capital, you drive 4 hours north to Gulu, which is like a major town, right? And then you go up through the north over to like Moyo, which is like basically my grandfather's house is 6 kilometers from the border of Sudan, right?
So we're looking at northern Uganda.
Very north, right? And you have to take a ferry to get into the village, right?
Man, you got to do all that to get there?
Bro, it's deep, bro. It's in the cut, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing all this. I'm tired. But the entire time I'm seeing a version of the North that I've never seen in my life. That's basically been, I was lied to about, not by my parents or anything, but by other like people who are afraid of it, right? Who didn't even know what it was. But the next time I go back, I'm not spending time in the capital. I'm going up north because the eco-diversity is crazy, right? The development is so much better because people have time to actually urban plan, you know?
In the rural area, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, okay. And it's like the roads they make more sense, you know what I'm saying? It's like there's no traffic. Because
it's not densely populated.
No.
Yeah.
Life is peaceful there, right? And so I get we get to the ferry to cross over to like the village, right? And there's some ladies there who are selling fish. They caught it fresh from the river Nile, right?
From the Nile River, fresh
Nile
fish
is right there, right?
Sheesh.
So they fried the fish and like they begin talking, and come to find out they're distant relatives of ours, right?
Wait, they just started talking with you guys? Like, you guys were buying fish, I'm guessing?
Yeah. So,
and then they asked, you know how it is. Oh, where are you guys coming from?
Yeah. They thought me and my brother were musicians because our hair was long.
Oh, they're like, these guys must be musicians.
Yeah.
We don't see hair like this.
Exactly.
Y'all coming out with the gold chains.
Yeah, stuff like that. So they're talking to my dad.
Okay.
And my dad's like, wait, you're my uncle's kids.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So already I'm like, yo, like.
That's amazing.
And this fish was fire, by the way. Highly recommend.
I'm sure from the Nile, I would like to try that fish. It was grilled?
Fresh. It's fresh, bro.
Sheesh.
They catch it fresh. They fry it there. They skin everything.
On.
Right? All you need is salt and oil. That's it.
Salt and oil. No seasoning.
Nothing.
Come on.
So already for me, that's like.
That's a cool moment. You're just buying fish and you realize you're talking to a relative.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow. This is kind of like, I'm in this space, right? Now we get across the ferry, etc. We get to the houses, right? Now, I'm looking at the houses my grandfather built, right? And for me, like he built these back in the 50s, 60s, right?
Okay.
So this is 2020. So this is like 70 years of history right there, right? And my cousin walks me over to an engine that was sitting in the yard, right? And the engine was from a 1969 Chevy Chevelle that my grandfather owned, right?
Antique.
Very antique. My dad had told me the story about the car where basically like it was looted during the war and people like parted it out and it just everything was sold off, right? But the only thing that's remaining there is the engine, right?
The engine remains on the front porch,
in the yard,
visible. Right? That's the first thing you see.
That's the first thing I see.
Come in, I guess. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And it's like small things are relating to me. So like one, that's already symbolic of like our family. So no matter what circumstance we're in, right? we're always persevering through it, right? We've been very fortunate to be in certain situations, not so fortunate in others, right?
Yes.
But the mentality there is like the engine never dies. So that's the piece that
dope.
keeps the family driving, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's like symbolic from my grandfather. I don't know. Or just the overall, like,
and it's there. It hasn't been removed.
You see what I'm saying?
So it has to have some meaning still
some
there.
value. If I could put this in a museum somewhere, I would. Not here, because we don't need to be.
I mean, come on. We already have most of our history taken away from the country.
Yeah.
So,
but bro, like it was so crazy to me, because that happened, right? And the soil there is like white earth, right?
okay.
So it's almost like sand, but it's not really, because you kind of go up a little mountain, and
okay.
The soil is just white earth.
White.
And I'm like touching it. I love sand, right? So I'm like, bro, like, what? Like this, I put it in my water bottle, because I was like, I'm gonna bring this back with me.
This is very American of you.
Hey, but
no, I was just joking.
You know what I'm saying? It's my first time in the village. Like, it was the most amazing trip ever. Where
going back,
you know, I actually made that trip back to the village, where my cousins are like showing me, like, oh yeah, so you know, your great uncle lived here, your great aunt lived here, this is all that type of stuff. I actually went to the burial site to see where my grandfather lived. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but after that, like, I was like, once I get back to my normal life, like, everything is on a tear, and you see how that played out. You know, it's like,
that's amazing, man. Just always, you know, like I said, this story, what I find it amazing is it shows the unexpected joy that could come when you take that. I wouldn't even call it a leap of faith, but when you decide to go back to your true origins and your true family, where they're actually from.
Right. I mean, because
I'm sure it was like your dad suggested that, let's go back to the village. Let me show you.
And funny enough, it wasn't even him. It was my grandmother.
Would a younger you have been like, oh yes, I want to go back to the village?
No.
You see? Because you didn't do it until, you know?
Yeah.
And younger you wouldn't have been as curious, but like, what I want to do in the village, you know?
Yeah. And when I went back, like, that was the most rewarding experience I've ever had in my life, bro. So that's what, as a method, how would you put that as, if someone else is saying, I'm trying to, again, if you care, like we're trying to understand our heritage, the importance of going back. Like, what do you recommend? Like, you know, how would we document that as a tip? What recommendations will you give for that? To verbalize that?
Yes.
Honestly, I would say, like, stay away from the if you will, cosmopolitan, or
if you're gonna go back home, don't be drawn to just the city. And
if you're in Uganda, go away from Kampala, right?
Okay.
If you're in, I don't know how Banjul looks, but if you're in Gambia, maybe step away
this
from
place called Senegambia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're in Nigeria, don't go to just Banana Island, you know, or like something like that.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah,
one of the phase 1s or phase 2s that they all talk about.
Yeah, the Lekkies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Step away from that. Like, if you're in South Africa, don't go to Cape Town, or just, I mean, go there, but
don't just spend all of your time there.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's where the history is, in my opinion, right?
It's up country.
Yeah. It's outside of the city.
Because that's where everyone comes from. All those cities are just places of migration.
And just melting pots. You know? So it's like, if I'm trying to find my history, why would I just go to the capital? Half the time in the capital, all I'm doing is just partying.
Yeah, that's it. Going out, you know, hanging around, you know,
eating too much, stuff like that. So it's like, to me, the rewarding experience was away from the capital, you know.
That's good. That's good. I think these, you know, and I'm sure we'll continue to find different ways of, because look at it. It's such a rich experience you just had. And you just saw me too, being all hype, telling how, you know, just by simply asking a question. So it's cool that we're showing two different spectrums of how you can take action. You could be a simple message, or even you can call your mom or dad, but just document it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I did. I just send a message and they'll send me an email. So now I can save that. I have it documented. And if the other spectrum of taking action is when you do get the chance to go back home, just don't spend all your time in the city or in the main.
That brings me to my next point, actually, which was how has your relationship with your parents changed?
How has it changed? It hasn't changed.
Now that you're more aware of like your identity and yourself.
Yeah, it's for me. It's getting better. It's much better. A lot of I understand. I feel like I understand my parents more, and a lot of maybe the frustrations I could have had about decisions when we grew up, and you know how it is. The African parents, you know how it is. It's not. There's certain things, the strictness, the rigidness, the you have to do this and don't ask questions. Don't
I understand why they said there's rice at home. You know what I'm saying? Things
stuff like that. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, you cannot have McDonald's. You know, stuff like that. But yeah, for me, it's just, you know, it's growing, and I'm more appreciative because I understand more their journeys, how amazing it was, and to be able the vision, because you know people. This is one thing that we don't give our African parents for. The desire and vision to want a better life for their kids.
Facts.
You know, now
That's
I'm old enough
factual.
to understand, like, wow, like they actually, like, you know, laid a blueprint and said, we're going to make sure our kids have better lives, better opportunities. So, yes, would you had, let's say, want to go to that one party and stuff. But now I look back, I'm like, shoot, you know, it is what it is. But I appreciate them for forever. So now that's what I'm saying. It hasn't changed. There's a more level of appreciation. And that's why it was important to go and understand your heritage a little bit more and ask them questions about when they were younger, things they did, where they're from, because it gives you more perspective and you become a more understanding of them. Even, of course, they'll always frustrate you, you always have your frustration, but now you're more understanding of it and your relationship will get better.
Yeah.
So for me, it's even amplified now. It's more appreciation even now.
So and they always talk about how, like, as you get older and you spend less time with your parents, it's like you appreciate them more.
Yeah.
I think is like more amplified for me now. You know, was like we'll go to their house like once every like other week just to have dinner on Sundays, and like a lot of those dinners are spent reminiscing just like things of growing up. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, bruv, like when we were going through some of those things, like like you thought that was the end all be all, you know, in that moment.
Exactly.
Like, I can't believe you grounded me. You know what I'm saying?
So much caught in the moment.
And for you, like as a child, that's the scope of that is just so like you can't even think past that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like as a parent, in that time to be able to sacrifice so much of yourself just to give your kids a better life, man, like I always feel so blessed that they were the chosen ones to take me on this journey. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I feel blessed that I'm even in the same breath as them. You know what I'm saying? Come on. It's like, man, I love you guys, by the way. I know you guys will see this.
I'm telling you, it's time. We gonna have to flip it off. You know, we all love the jokes, and all, but yeah, it's time we give the African parents their props. You know,
a lot of props.
Y'all need y'all props. You know,
a lot of props.
Everything that where we are now. You know, we don't appreciate them enough. That's what I'm saying. Yes, we all know the frustrations or the things that they taught us that are not really that relevant or applicable right now, but we need to give them props, bruh.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And, bro, I mean, no one's perfect. You know
of course.
They've had their mistakes.
Of course. It's because they kept telling us they had all A's in school. They walked 15 kilometers, 10 miles, jumped the river, did all of that. It's because they did such heroic things and made perfection a standard for us.
Yeah,
I think that's why. But I feel like that's good. You know,
I applaud that though.
I applaud that. It's not, because at first I'm like, man, these guys love to exaggerate. But imagine as a child, here he go again. My dad, never got a B, or my mom worked 10 miles to go to school. So they said it for you. I guess they were telling you whatever you achieve, or when you come up short. Oh, you came up short when I did this and exceeded? Mm-hmm. So who knows? It could be mind tricks they were playing on us, bruh.
It could have been. And I think even that translates into how like I talk to like my loved ones now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like my brother, it's like he'll do something great. You know what I'm saying? I'm happiest for him.
Yeah.
But I'll still try to one up him.
Exactly, because it says that you can always be better. You can always do better.
And it's like I know 100% he's better than me at that by a mile.
Yeah, but you're still gonna find something to tell him about it. You know? And where do we get that from?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I did 10 push-ups with one finger when I was 5. What do you mean?
Like I think till this day, my dad thinks he's faster than me. Things like that. I'm like, Pops, like, there's no way. He's like 60 now. I'm like, there's no way you're faster than me. Just because we raced when I was in 7th grade, it's like I hadn't even hit puberty, and it's like Pops, if you see me now, there's no way. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
But I love that.
Of course. The banter, man, is the best. It's peak. No one has banter better than our parents, fam. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. We could go for days with the banter, man.
It really hasn't.
But so it's important. We are, by us either going back or asking our parents, understanding ourselves more. As you can see, we've gotten a higher appreciation and understanding of our parents.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are more methods, and as we continue, we'll share other different things we're doing and highlighting for why it's important, and also the value you get out of it.
Yeah.
It's a valuable experience you get.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think this even, this stretches past Africans. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. But we're talking about our own journeys.
We're talking about,
exactly.
In our perspective.
In our own perspective. So
there's a collective experience though that a lot of us share with like other immigrants.
For sure, and it's very relatable.
And I think that's very applicable. So don't limit this to just our Africans.
Yeah, exactly. What we did, there's nothing that someone from Southeast Asia or any country
Peru
with a collectivist
Chile
culture or society can't do this. There's no difference. So that's why I'm curious. I hope for us to find even more unique ways, more relevant ways for us to dive and understand our heritage. Because like I said, it will never say nonsense like my parents are from Africa. No. When we really get to go back and know, and you're proud of where you're from and you see it, that's the last thing you say. So that's what I hear when our fellow people say, oh, this, that. When they say that, I'm like, if you only knew the rich history you're missing out on understanding of your culture, you will never say those words.
Yeah. If you only knew. And I mean, that's not to discredit it.
No, we're not discrediting.
It's very complex.
Exactly.
But
we're just saying there's an opportunity for you.
There's a huge opportunity.
If you don't think that you're African, it's only your parents that are African, you're not, you're missing out on so much.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. So I'm less like,
and I think you not only are you missing out, but you're cheating yourself out of your true self and your true identity. Yeah, because like for me, like after learning about my grandparents, my grandfather and like his father and then his father, you see what I'm saying? And then how that even trickles down into the dynamic of our overall family. Now I'm like, bruh, like,
come on.
Of course, there's going to be times where your confidence is shaken, but like as an individual right now, I'm in such a better place than I have ever been in my life.
Of course.
And I credit a lot of that to that trip. That trip was the one for me.
Spiritual cleansing and that.
So please go home. Go.
Yeah.
Don't this 9-to-5 like corporate lifestyle will slowly kill you if you don't have something to live for. So
y'all heard Ivan with the bars today for months. Months on the philosophical thing, innit?
Nah, I'll just say it, man.
No, I agree with you. It's a lot, 100%, bro.
A lot to life.
100%.
And I mean, my next trip is probably gonna be to Gambia and see how I relate to
Nakala.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we've talked about stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. Look, I need that fish ASAP, grilled from the Nile, the River Nile, fresh.
That
grilled.
Fish is second to none, bro.
You said no seasoning in it?
Maybe minimal seasoning.
No, don't worry. It's fine. It's fresh.
Salt is the one. Huh? You know what I'm saying? The way they sprinkle the salt, that's the one.
You think they're salt based? That's the real, salt based.
Yeah.
Shoot.
It's like you come through. They've got like a little place you wash your hands, and then you like the fish is whole. There's no like filleting. No, none of that.
None of that
you
nonsense.
Get the fish whole. you take it and you take it apart with your hands. By the end, you got oily hands, and so you go get a soda to wash it down. You know what I'm saying?
What did Future say, Ivan? What did Future say?
I beg, tell them.
No, you gotta tell me. What did Future say?
There's a lot of things Future said.
Sensational. Sensational.
Sensational. No, but yeah, man.
No, yeah, I agree. So, that's awesome. I can't wait to try it. These are things we get to look forward to, you know?
Yeah. Away from this lifestyle. But I mean, to kind of like put that in a box, if you will, there's no end goal, right? This is an ongoing journey that we're on.
Of course.
This is something that one takes intention. It takes time, effort. There's gonna be a lot of emotions that you go through, but the reward is the journey, right? So
yes, that's what the reward is. It's a reward. It's a rewarding experience.
Yeah, there's no end goal in sight. So you won't arrive at a place and
we'll continue to share, and all people will, people like us will share too what they have, and it can be a collective experience.
Yeah,
that's how
for sure.
Yes, sir.
And you know what I'm saying, we talk about things like this all the time. So again, this is the podcast for you if that's the place you're in.
This is it. Some banter about stuff.
By no means are we experts, but we definitely have a little bit of experience. You know what I'm saying?
You tell me. That's what I think.
And yeah, man, I'm like, something I'll briefly touch on is how I feel like my identity got lost, right?
You feel like your identity got lost? Why?
When I moved here, right?
Okay.
So I'm in a place full of white people, right?
Yes.
We're
in Seattle, Washington, for anyone who wants to know.
Yeah, that's where we are. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm at a young age where a lot of material is appealing, and you don't really do things for like the intrinsic value. You do things because it's like you need that instant gratification, and so it's like I still have like my values where I'm like, I'm Ugandan and this is the way my parents raised me, but then it's like I'm not American enough to be with some of the American kids, and I'm not Ugandan enough to be with some of the Ugandan kids when I'm back home. You see what I'm saying? So it's like somewhere in that, I feel like my identity was lost, and like, funny enough, I credit a lot of like other Africans in the area who helped me rediscover myself in that sense.
Yeah.
Because like it's like, oh, I'm in a foreign land, I can't fully express myself, but then when I go back home, it's like I'm too. That's the great
thing about us Africans, though.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm too foreign. Each other. You know what I'm saying?
We uplift each other.
And so yeah,
when you meet other, fine, I'll give them credit. When you like meet Nigerians, how proud they are of their,
proud, bro.
So it's really uplifting, and
it is.
You're like, wow, this is. I'm sure you experienced that.
Yeah, and it's like not once was I ever like, I don't know where I'm from, but
exactly.
It was also a lot of like, maybe they don't need to know like where
exactly.
I'm from, you know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
It's like my identity. I wouldn't call it a crisis, but it was definitely a time where I was in a place of like uncertainty, and I'm so glad that I'm not in that place anymore, because that has helped. The result of that has reflected in like my self-confidence and like what I do with my life. You know what I'm saying? It's like we only have one life. So
I mean, this is very important what you talk about, because guaranteed you are not the only one. I am sure there's a lot of other Africans that either moved at an early age, come here to US or go abroad. And it's almost I feel like it's probably a journey for most, where there's going to be times where you would feel like, you've a little bit lost touch with your identity, because you're trying to assimilate with this new society and this new change of environment. And sometimes it can put a lot of pressure on thinking you have to suppress that Africanness in you, or, you have to try and merge.
Yeah.
Which, there are a lot of cultures don't do it.
Yeah.
But Africans tend to be ones that you tend to merge.
Yeah, it's like
because of the pressures.
We let down our guard. It's like
and that's what we'll have to talk about more is why do a lot of Africans, when they move here, even at an early age to the US, they get pressured into merging and suppressing their Africanness. The first thing is, let me quickly suppress my accent.
Yeah.
Next minute, let me stop telling people I'm from Africa.
Yep.
Which it could become from bullying too that they've experienced. We've had, like Bella's story, and, even when we had the Revelation Band talk about the pressures they face in high school when they just come fresh from Africa. So those are all different factors. So we'll have to understand and talk about, almost a hypothetical, how would you now redo that again?
Yeah.
What's the right thing for if anyone else is coming from Africa or just came here and is struggling with that, feeling that they need to, suppress again, make their name, change their name to an easy name for that everyone can say, or an American name. Why? And, provide at least tips or advice for things that could do better.
To hold that strong.
Because it's important.
I think a lot of it is also rooted in just the racism in this country. But that's a great point. You don't see Indian Americans suppressing their culture.
Come on.
You don't see Asian Americans suppressing their culture.
They don't. Let's not general. I just don't think, to us it doesn't look like it. We can't speak for them. But to me, I feel like they have a strong sense,
of that identity.
Yes, they keep it.
So that's something we need to dissect.
We'll
further,
talk about it. We'll find ways and explore that as well.
Yeah. But before we wrap up, we wanted to
what we got
to bring to light a local business.
Yes. So this season, what are we going to be doing? We had pioneers last season, which we'll probably still do. We used to pioneer. We used to highlight the great African pioneers. We went to Sankara. We talked about Lumumba. So especially people that are inspirational to me and Ivan, that were unsung heroes in African history that we highlighted. Yeah. So this season, what else are we adding?
We're adding local businesses. And black businesses. You know what I'm saying?
So who do we got?
First, you guys can see it. I don't know if you can see it. You want me to grab it? You want me to grab it?
I mean, yeah, you should grab it. What's that?
So this here is a peppermint vese butter. I don't know if I'm saying it right because man don't speak the French
thing and that.
You get what I'm saying?
Oui.
Man's not on the French thing. But so this is made by Susannas House.
Susannas House.
Susannas House was created in honor of Kiki's grandmother Susanna, with whom she used to make lotion as a child. Till date, you will find her knitting or helping Kiki make vase butter. I hope I'm saying that right because man don't speak the Francais, you know what I'm saying? But vase means moisturizing in her mother tongue. Butter is a rich whipped moisturizing butter, rejuvenating hair and body in one jar at a time. It's made with all natural products such as shea butter, cocoa butter, mango butter, castor oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, rosehip, and aloe vera, and other essential oils.
Yes, sir.
So it's great for your skin. It's great for sensitive skin, dry skin, flawed skin, like if you have psoriasis or eczema, or overall just skin needing some tender love and care.
Come on.
So their Etsy page is up for purchase. It's susannashouse.etsy.com.
We'll make sure we share the link.
We will, or you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Susannas House. I personally have purchased this lotion. I'm a fan.
Yes.
I recommend it. It's great.
We recommend this. It's not just because this episode is not being sponsored by Susannas House. We're claiming it, but I've been using it since summer last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think I will not use any other.
All seasons.
This is it. Like, come on. Like, I just, melanin, if you want to get your melanin popping, if you're trying to, all that good stuff, rejuvenate. But, I just love products like this, and especially from a black business owner.
Black business. That's what we're doing.
Especially, it's Kiki we're talking about here. Come on. So, guys, we're happy that Susannas House is sponsoring this episode, and we really recommend you to check out their IG page and try one of their products for
highly recommend
cocoa butter, and that
highly recommend.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that really brings us to the end of it.
Yes,
Episode
sir.
1. As you guys can see, the set, of course.
Come on.
We're on our interior design thing.
Look, boys are moving, and if you need interior designers, don't call us.
The set, we love it.
Yes,
we love, I guess, getting to move on to this platform, YouTube.
Yes.
So if you can relate to anything we just said, if you found value in it, please, I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, subscribe, comment.
Oh man, we thought we will never be those people.
Content. I'm a YouTube guy now. You know,
we're YouTubers people, now. Bro. Is that what we're doing?
So hey, like, subscribe, comment.
By the way, that trailer, I think, Ivan, you deserve plaudits for that trailer, fam. That trailer is A1, fam.
Bruv, hey.
Literally, this is how African events or ceremonies be, though. You know, I used to always wonder, like, why is one guy barely mumbling, and then here comes another guy.
The griot.
I'm just like, so it's very, So that's the inspiration behind it. So that trailer, bro, I'll be watching. I'll be just be dying. I was trying so hard not to laugh.
But yeah, man, that's been episode 1.
Sir.
I'm looking forward to episode 2. We got an action-packed season for you guys.
Yes, we have 10 episodes still.
Yep, for season 3.
Get ready for discussions and dialogue. We want discussions and dialogue too.
Yeah.
So
and I'm happy to be back. I'm happy. No, we're just brothers in arms. And
yes, sir. We're going through this journey.
So
so I look forward to what's next.
Yeah, amen. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time, stay blessed.
Yes, sir.
No tomorrow, yeah.